All right, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Davis Wilson, and I will be giving you a persuasive speech today. Now, I'm no weatherman, but if you look out the window, I can tell you it is snowing. So, if you want to guess where I'm from Denver, Colorado. So, not a lot of places are snowing this late, but yeah, like I said, I'm from Denver, Colorado, which is about 15 minutes away from Littleton, Colorado. Now, Littleton, Colorado, I'll get to why that's important in a minute, but I was born on April 20th of 1999. I'm not sure if any of you know what that date means, but that's actually a very historical date in USA's history. On April 20th of 1999 is when the Columbine shooting occurred. So when the Columbine shooting occurred, all of the patients and students that were involved in the accident were sent over to the Littleton Hospital where they could get treated. And that's where I was being born at. So today's speech is a persuasive speech about school shootings. Today's going to be a little bit more of a serious topic, but since Columbine, which was the first ever school shooting in the United States, there's been 229 school shootings ever since, which is an absolute crazy number. And if you look at a graph, if you look at when Columbine happened, that was the first one ever, to now, they're becoming much more popular. The curve is very slanted upwards, and it is a much more popular thing to happen now. So a lot of people ask why school shootings happen, and to be honest, there really isn't a great answer. But one common theme with all the shooters that they all had in common was that there has been bullying or harassment occur in their life, whether it has been from a student to another student, or a group of students to that student, or whether it's from a teacher to a student, or from just their home lives. A lot of it's difficult for them to handle, and a lot of times they'll take it out on the school. So I believe that teachers need to have the option to be armed on school grounds as long as they feel confident themselves, that the school feels confident in them, and as long as the government permits them to carry a gun on the school grounds. So one question is, how can schools be better prepared for school shootings? Now, one way to do this would be to increase security guards. But if we're being honest, hiring more security guards is going to cause the schools to pay more, which they already don't have a great budget for, which is why teachers are not getting paid as much as they may deserve. So that would decrease teachers' pay most likely. Another way to prevent school shootings would be to put up more security cameras. Now, I believe that that'll help, but in previous cases, there's been security cameras and there are still school shootings happening in those schools. So it's been proven that that is not the most effective way. Another way would be for the government to allow teachers to carry firearms in the school grounds. I'm going to explain why to you. So people may ask, isn't there a lot of risk to permitting teachers to carry a firearm on the school grounds? And I believe that there's not. To begin, the number one concern for teachers having that is that there will be more accidents. And this is a valid point. Accidents would be terrible. But there are many states where teachers carrying guns is legal now. And in those states, there's been 0 accidents where guns have, been triggered on accident. There's been 0 cases of students taking guns away from the teachers. And another thing is that people may be concerned that teachers are educational teachers, and they're not very confident on how to use a gun properly. Now, in Ohio, which is one of the states where carrying guns is legal, in Ohio there is like 62 out of the 65 school districts are armed schools. So for a teacher to be able to carry a gun in Ohio, they need to go through a training program that is the same training program that police go through to be armed. Now, one of the things that they have to do is they have to go through a training course where there will be dummies that pop up with one with a bad mask on, so that's a bad guy, so you shoot him, and then one with a doctor's mask, so it's a good person, so you leave them alone. And a police officer needs to hit 26 out of the 29 targets to be cleared to carry a gun. Now, the teachers are held to an even higher standard. They need to hit 27 out of the 29 targets for them to be permitted to carry a gun on campus, on the school grounds in Ohio. Another concern is that our teacher was responsible enough to be trusted with a gun around children. Now, teachers are not paid as high as they likely deserve, and the motivation for most teachers to teach is because they love students and they want to make an impact on their lives and grow them. So teachers are very involved in that. There was one case in Texas, and Texas was not permitted to carry guns at the time in schools. But there was a school shooting, and the procedure for when a shooter comes down is to hide in the corner and sit there and wait. And unfortunately, nobody came in time, and the shooter came in the classroom, pointed his gun at the student, and shot him. But before the bullet could get there, the teacher came in like a superhero, dove in front of the student, and took the bullet to the chest himself. And that teacher later ended up dying, which is very tragic. But it's also a risk for the teachers because they're just a human sacrifice at this point because they're not armed. So some of the benefits of teachers being armed would be, the first one would be that teachers would have a better way of protecting their innocent students in the situation of a school shooting, and also to protect themselves. So, in a situation of a school shooting, they go in lockdown and they get away from the windows and they hide in the corner and they just hope that nobody comes. But in Ohio, the problem is where they are allowed to carry guns. The problem is that the reaction time of the police, it takes 15 to 22 minutes for the police to react to a call and to get there, and that is plenty of time for a shooter to do its damage in a school. So at that point, if teachers are not armed, the teachers and students are just sitting ducks. But if you give the teachers firearms, they have a way to defend their students and also to defend themselves. Another benefit is that teachers having guns could lower the motivation for shooters to commit a school shooting. Now, in armed, there's been 0 cases where a school shooter has occurred in the states where guns are permitted. And also, 96.2% of the mass shootings that occur in the U.S. are in gun-free zones. So that leaves schools that are not gun-free. Schools that are gun-free zones are more liable to school shootings than those that would be armed. So in conclusion, teachers need to be the last line of defense to protect the students in the case of a school shooter, and permitting responsible teachers to carry a firearm at school is a safe way for teachers to protect their students.